Five, four, three, two, one.
Hello and welcome to TrojanVision's The Week That Was, covering the news and events for the week ending Friday, February 19th, 2021. I'm your host, Aaron Taylor. While the state has expanded the qualifications for residents to get the COVID vaccine, distribution of the vaccine is still slow to roll out to all areas. Troy University thought it would get doses as early as the first week of February. That didn't happen, and the timeline of when the school could get the vaccine is still unclear. Brady Talbert gives us an update.
The last time we talked vaccine distribution, the Alabama Department of Public Health said it was delaying sending Troy University its shots. But now we ask why, and both the state and the university say they have different answers. Troy University says its doses of the Moderna COVID-19 vaccine were sent elsewhere.
The state felt that they could reach more citizens if they created these mass vaccination events. And so that would require them to take the dosages that would have been intended for Troy to be then distributed to Dothan, Montgomery, and other parts of the state.
Troy's Dean of Student Services said ADPH did not specifically say where the vaccines were going, but he did say the shots were postponed to serve other vaccination sites. ADPH denies this, saying no. Montgomery and Dothan are Pfizer vaccine sites. The health department says the delay was caused by a shortage of the Moderna supply. While the university waits, its faculty haven't. Governor Kay Ivey recently announced educators are considered frontline workers, causing professors to travel 50-plus miles from the university to get vaccinated.
I was just waiting for the date when we would be included.
Dr. Amanda Diggs is a professor of communication studies. After dealing with an outdated ADPH website,
they hadn't updated the information. Their information wasn't the same as it was on the news.
Diggs found a vaccination site in Montgomery on Tuesday. She waited in line and inside of her car for 5 hours.
I wasn't expecting to be in the car for that long, but it was an orderly process.
For now, faculty will have to continue going off campus to get their shots. The ADPH tells us vaccines are on the way when supply is available. Brady Talbert, Troy, TrojanVision News.
Troy University has a piece of China on campus with this massive terracotta warrior display in Janice Hawkins Park. However, thanks to those warriors, a bit of Troy was in China earlier this week, as the university was featured on one of the most popular television programs in China. Michaela Smith has the story.
Chancellor Jack Hawkins and a trio of Troy University students were featured in a segment about Troy's terracotta warriors on the Chinese television show Greatest National Treasure this week. According to Troy University student Yihan Gao, who was also featured in the segment, the show was one of the most watched television programs in China.
People are all about talking about this show. I did the research, it's about 280 million people were watching this show at that time.
Gao, TrojanVision News Director Brady Talbert, and SGA President Nicole J. John were also part of the segment. Gao says including the American students along with herself shows the connection Troy has with China.
This is a good connection between American culture and the Chinese culture because we got the interviewees including American students, and the Chinese audience will see the different experience from American students' side to share how they think about Chinese traditional culture. I think this is just a bridge between the American and China.
With a potential audience of millions of viewers watching a segment about Troy University, Gao says it could have the possibility to attract more Chinese students to come to Troy in the future.
CCTV as a mainstream media in China, they have a lot of influences to people, and they have the power. So I think if we put the segments from CCTV, people will definitely consider if they want to go to America to study their college life, they will consider our Troy University.
Gao says she's already gotten plenty of reaction from friends and family back home about her appearance on the show.
I feel like I'm famous because a lot of people asking me. They text me by WeChat, and one of my roommates' friends in China, they saw our show 2 days before, and they said is that your roommate? I saw her on CCTV like this. Their reaction is all surprised, and for the people who knows me, they are proud of me.
Troy University Student Government Association is tackling the topic of cell phones in the classroom. As Kaylee Wright shows us, the SGA is hoping to change the way some teachers are handling cell phones in their classes.
On Tuesday night, the Student Government Association addressed some student complaints regarding instructors confiscating cell phones prior to the start of their classes.
Well, the cell phone confiscation bill in the form of Resolution 2021-2, basically, we've had several students file complaints with us stating that teachers are taking their cell phones before class begins, even though there's never been any particular incident that took place during the class or there was no disruptions.
And because the cell phone confiscation is a concern of the student body, Ray says that it is a concern of the SGA.
We do not think that is appropriate. We think that it's important for the teachers to maintain order and control in the classroom and for the learning environment to be at an optimum level. But we think you can do that without confiscating cell phones before, during, or after class.
The resolution calls for the Dean of Student Services and the Vice Chancellor of Student Services to discourage faculty from confiscating cell phones, as well as encourage faculty to abide by the Oracle cell phone policy. In addition to the new cell phone policy, SGA is discussing ways to recognize Mr. and Miss Trojan Pride, two individuals who the SGA believes exemplifies Trojan spirit.
We hope to recognize the Mr. and Miss Trojan Pride candidates at a basketball game and a baseball game. We're going to be actively talking with the athletics department on how we can go about doing that. And then we are also planning a banquet for them. That banquet will coincide with the Most Outstanding Women's banquet, and we hope to have the chancellor there, and we hope for the banquet to be very prestigious and quite honorable.
Kaylee Wright, Troy TrojanVision News.
We'll take a short break, but when we return, we'll see how Troy University's yearbook is making sure students have their picture in this year's book, even if they couldn't show up for picture day. Stay tuned, we'll be right back.
All right, I know this isn't any fun to talk about, but we should. Okay, so who's gonna do what?
I'll pack the dead batteries.
Great.
I'll only put what I don't need into a duffel bag.
Perfect. That's totally unhelpful.
No problem.
Meanwhile, I will try to comfort everyone by speaking in a calm voice.
And I'll try to get the generator going without any gas.
Oh, let's not forget the cell phones, which probably won't work.
Right.
And who is going to handle supplies?
I can forget to do a list for us.
Thanks, pal.
Well, I think we couldn't be any less prepared. I'm proud of you guys.
Talk to your kids about who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Visit ready.gov/kids for tips and information.
Sunday was Valentine's Day. However, Valentine's is not celebrated the same way around the world. Last week, some Troy students got to learn about international celebrations of the Day of Love and how to make a gift for that someone special. Sarah Bai has the story.
International Student Cultural Organization held a meeting to celebrate Valentine's Day Thursday night. The speaker introduced the history of Valentine's Day and the different ways of celebrating in other countries.
Tonight we got together as the International Student Cultural Organization to celebrate Valentine's Day. We got to learn about the history of Valentine's Day and the history of how many other countries around the world celebrate their love. And we also had our friend Shishi come and make us origami roses.
This event provides an opportunity for students to learn more about Valentine's Day and make some new friends.
Today was just one of those cultural exchange events, basically. The whole point of today was to show some of the things we do in America and learn about some of the things that they do around the world, as well as doing a little craft to take home to give to your loved one.
I thought it was very formative and it was very fun, and I thought that the origami roses was a great way for us to all get together and share a little bit about Valentine's Day and learn some more about what love
how love is celebrated in other cultures and meet some new people.
ISCO will host a Taekwondo night next Thursday at 5 p.m. The only thing you need to do is sign up for it.
Next week, ISCO will be pairing with the International Student Organization to do their Taekwondo night. The way to get into that is to sign up for it. So there is a sign up, but it'll be fun. It'll be a beginner Taekwondo lesson. It'll be here in Howe Hall, 5 p.m. next Thursday.
Sarah by TrojanVision News.
Every semester, the Palladium Yearbook hosts Picture Day here on campus, so students can have a chance to be featured in the upcoming yearbook. But this year, if students happen to miss Picture Day, they still have a chance to get their photo in the yearbook. Claudia Peppenhorst shows us how.
This past year has been memorable to say the least, and Troy University's yearbook, the Palladium, is trying to capture those memories, good and bad. Over the past year, they have focused their attention on the university's adjustment to the COVID-19 pandemic. But with a yearbook comes Picture Day for the students.
Well, today is Picture Day, and we have one each semester during the fall and during the spring, and then you can come and get your picture taken for free.
This Picture Day is a little different than others because if you were not able to make it to Spring Picture Day in person, there is now the option to email the Palladium a personal headshot.
The students that cannot make it today, they have the option to email us a picture of their headshot, or it doesn't have to be a professional headshot as long as it has like a clear background and presentable for the yearbook.
You can submit a selfie as long as the picture is yearbook appropriate and has a clear image. The Palladium decided to include personal headshots due to COVID restricting some from attending the in-person Picture Day. But their main goal is to make sure that everyone feels included.
I think it's important for students to be included in the student yearbook because it's just something good to have, and the yearbook is the only thing that we have available on campus that stores memories for students.
You can submit your headshot by emailing the picture to palladium@troy.edu. The last day to submit a picture is March 1st, and the upcoming yearbook will be available fall of 2021. You can visit Palladium's Facebook page at Troy U Palladium to purchase.
Once again, if you weren't able to make it to Spring Picture Day in person, you can still submit your favorite personal headshot to be included in this year's Palladium. Claudia Peppenhorst, Troy, TrojanVision News.
Troy University students were caught gambling in the Trojan Center Wednesday night. No one got in trouble because it was all in fun as a part of the University Activities Council's Wednesday night event. Kenrietta Stinson has the story.
How would you spend $1,000? Would the odds be in your favor if you had to bet it all? Well, students got a chance to try their luck while enjoying free food and prizes. On Wednesday night, the University Activities Council hosted their casino night for students to come out and risk it all.
We give them $1,000 in fake money, and they spend it with our vendors, and they work the crap tables, the poker tables, and things of that nature. And they're able to use their tickets to get really good prizes like sound bars, mirrors, air fryers, and things like that.
It isn't Las Vegas, it's the Trojan Center ballrooms, where students are winning, learning, and having fun.
It was very new, but like a fun kind of new.
With moving to a bigger location and using UV sanitation, the UAC wanted to make sure students felt safe during the coronavirus pandemic. While enjoying some good music and fun, students were able to learn more about slot machines, blackjack, poker, and many more games with the help of the different vendors.
I think they've been pretty helpful. I try to stay away from blackjack and the harder games, but I like how they teach you how to play. It makes your nerves go down. It's very de-stressing.
For the latest on campus events, you can follow at Troy UAC on Instagram. Kenrietta Stinson, Troy TrojanVision News.
We're going to take another quick break, but when we come back, it was a historic start for the Trojan softball team. We'll show you why coming up after the break, so stay tuned.
If you store your guns properly,
so not just anyone can get to them.
I'll feel safer when I'm playing outside.
Safer when walking home.
I won't have to tell so many family members. I'm sorry.
I won't hear as many scary stories or scary news reports.
I won't have to hold someone's hand and shout you're gonna make it.
And I won't have to tell my kids this isn't a drill.
Please.
Please.
Please. Please. Please.
Do it for us.
For us. Do it for us.
Your family, friends, and neighbors are all counting on you. Never let your gun get into the wrong hands. If you own a firearm and are not using it, please be responsible and be sure that it's stored in a safe place. Remember, always, lock it up. For more information on firearm storage safety, visit ncpc.org.
The Trojan softball team opened their season over the weekend, and as Stuart Bradley shows us, there was no way one of the Troy's newest players was going to forget her debut.
On the final day of the Trojan Classic on Sunday, the Trojans had no losses, Belmont had no wins, and Brianna Bailey tossed a no-hitter. Making her first career start for the Trojan softball team, Bailey struck out 6 batters and allowed just 2 walks. Combining her unhittable pitching with adequate run support by the offense, the Trojans only needed 5 innings to shut down the Bruins 8-0, notching a 4-0 start to the season.
My curve was just really working for me today, and Coach Holly was calling a really good game. She had a good game plan to set the hitters up, and we just stuck with it and grinded it out.
She has a lot of experience, but to be able to come in and have her first Troy debut and it be a no-hitter, and she was solid. I mean, it was from inning number 1 to inning number 5. I mean, she hit her spots, and I thought Coach Ward called a great game for her, and Candela Figueroa called a great game.
Troy was quick to provide some run support with RBI doubles by Kelly Horn and Logan Calhoun in the first 2 innings. Calhoun would notch an RBI single in the 4th, where some of the scoring got slightly less conventional. 3 runs were scored off of walks in the inning, with Kate Lively taking a 10-pitch walk during a marathon at-bat to drive in one of those runs. Jade Siness would score off of a fielder's choice before Kennedy Gadden restored some normalcy, notching her first career hit and RBI with a single.
I think Katie Lively had a really gritty at-bat that started that whole thing. I mean, she saw a ton of pitches, ended up drawing a walk, and then it just moved down the line. We say all the time, even if you don't get a hit, you want to make it that much harder for the pitcher to throw to the person behind you, and I think they did that 1 through 9. A lot of gritty at-bats, which is what Troy softball is.
We just really focused on being productive, and I saw that runner on third, and we knew that we had to get that runner in somehow, some way, because Bree's just throwing so good, and so I just tried to grit it out and just try to get that runner in no matter what it took.
Next up, the Trojans will put their perfect record on the line as they face Liberty on Wednesday. Stuart Bradley, Troy, TrojanVision Sports.
And after starting off their season red hot, finishing 4-0 in the opening weekend, the Trojans got burned by the Flames of Liberty Wednesday night. Sam Granville has the action from the Trojan softball complex.
It was a battle at the mound on Wednesday afternoon as pitchers on both sides threw 4 consecutive scoreless innings to start the game. However, bats started heating up in the top of the 5th as Liberty struck first, taking a 1-0 lead, but it wouldn't take long for the Trojans to respond as Katie Webb singled to left field, sending Logan Calhoun home to tie the game. The Flames were on the attack in the 6th, but infielder Ash Arlen turned a seamless double play to put the Trojans back in control. It seemed as though victory was just within reach as the Trojans loaded the bases in the bottom of the 6th, but a tag out at third sent the game to the 7th, tied at 1. The Flames would then seize their opportunity by sending 2 runners home, taking a 3-1 lead heading into the bottom of the 7th. With 2 outs and their backs against the wall, cleanup hitter Kelly Horn blasted a shot to deep left center, but a spectacular catch at the wall robbed the homer and sealed the win for the Flames at 3-1. Kelly Horn spoke on the loss.
Yeah, I mean, overall, just a really tough loss. They're a really quality opponent, and they're a really good mid-major. And we're just thankful to welcome any type of competition like that into Troy. But overall, yeah, just hate to lose that way. It was a gritty loss, but we're going to come back and regroup heading into this weekend.
Despite the loss, reigning Sunbelt Conference Pitcher of the Week, Leanna Johnson tallied her 14th career double-digit strikeout performance.
Leanna threw a great game, and they just did a really good job of making adjustments. So she's who we wanted the ball in her hands, and I thought she did a great job. We just didn't have those timely hits, which happens, and we can't use this game and roll it into the weekend. We just got to be mad for a little bit and let it go and show up on Friday and go back to work.
With the loss, Liberty ties its series with Troy at 1 game apiece as Troy notched its first win over the Flames in 2009. Sam Granville, Troy, TrojanVision Sports.
The Trojan men's basketball team dropped their second contest of rivalry week on Saturday afternoon. Deandra Larkin has all the action from Trojan Arena.
Losing to their rival South Alabama by 3 points in the first game and 7 points this Saturday in Trojan Arena, the Trojans men's basketball team said they will continue to push forward in preparation for Georgia State this weekend in Atlanta. Head coach Scott Cross says that being that team only functions correctly if they continue to work as one.
It's kind of a hard mental preparation game because they're very, very different from the way everybody else plays. You know, in the second half, our guys did adjust, and I thought we were able to get some good shots in the second half. You know, looking back to the games that we were really, really good and we were playing our best basketball against App State, that's what we did. Against Georgia Southern in the first game, that's what we did. So we have to be that team in order for us to be successful. And then guys have to understand that, you know, we're all in this together. It's not about one guy or another guy. It's about us. You know, it's us versus South Alabama. And so we have to lose ourselves within the team. And when we do that, I think that's when we'll start having success again.
Freshman Duke Miles added 10 points and 7 assists, along with junior Zay Williams 14 points and 18 rebounds. Zay Williams says they will continue to work to get their groove back and stick with coach's plan.
Just be more aggressive, crashing the glass. And anytime you lose, it don't feel good. So we want to get back in the gym, work harder. Back to what we was doing, playing hard, doing all the defensive things, doing all the tough things, and just work hard and believe in our coach and believe in the game plan.
The Troy's men team will be in Atlanta this weekend playing Georgia State. Deandra Larkin, Troy, TrojanVision Sports.
It's time for our last break, but when we return, we'll learn about a way Troy Theater and Dance is getting their shows to a mass audience. Stay tuned, we'll be right back.
Did you know kids who play outdoors have healthier lungs?
Totally. I did. Did you know that boys that play with dolls make better husbands?
My son has lots of dolls.
But did you know terry cloth diapers breathe better?
I did.
It's totally true.
Oh, yeah.
Did you know that strollers have the right of way on the sidewalk?
Yes.
Yep, I did. Did you guys
Did you know that kids who eat breakfast have higher GPAs?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. That's actually what I was going to say.
Did you know babies should never touch silver? It's really bad for them.
I knew that.
Did you guys know that statistically friendly kids have more friends?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's obvious.
Did you know most people think they're using the right car seat for their kid, but they're not?
Parents who really know it all know for sure that their child is in the right seat at the right age and size. Visit safercar.gov/the-right-seat to make sure your child is protected.
I'm putting that on my blog.
I just put it in mine.
Troy's Department of Theater and Dance will live stream their upcoming production. We'll learn more about the event in this week's Trojan Talk. Hello and welcome to Trojan Talk. I'm your host, Aaron Taylor. With me today is Tori Averett, Chair of the Department of Theater and Dance here at Troy University. Tori, thanks for joining me here today.
Thanks, Aaron.
It's always a pleasure to have you here because when you're here, you're talking about a show.
Yes.
And this is, we've got one coming up here that kind of demonstrates a lot of different elements of what's going on in the world right now. And before we get into the specifics of the show, let's just talk about how theater has been affected in this past year with COVID-19 and what you've had to do, and that'll kind of roll into what you're doing with this performance as well.
Well, you know, it's an understatement to say that we have been affected. The entire theater industry, the dance industry, the performing arts industries have been greatly affected by COVID. Things are dark. That's what we call it when the theaters and productions aren't running. So the industry has been a little dark and quiet. Broadway's closed down, but we're starting to see it open back up, which is great. So that's been sort of the same, you know, at Troy with students who are studying theater and dance. We've had to keep going. You know, we don't get to go dark, nor do we want to. So we've had the privilege and the opportunity to keep serving our students who want to do this for their careers. So continuing with the classes, continuing with all the opportunities, and continuing with productions as much as we can. Things that we have done just to keep it going at Troy, which, by the way, there was never a conversation about, well, I guess we'll just stop and wait. Not one moment did our students and faculty think that that was the way that we were going to handle things here at Troy. You know, pretty resilient folks here. So we've been really creative. We've had to reduce the cast sizes of things, so we're working on smaller projects. Rehearsals have been interesting. Everyone's singing and dancing and speaking in masks. That's a real challenge for our students, and they've been champs about it. Same thing with performances. We've performed in masks, which is a very different experience for the audiences. What else? Socially distanced rehearsals. Sanitizing everything. You know, dance is a pretty physical thing, so sanitizing the floor and the surfaces and the air, it's been really interesting to deal with that.
And of course, the productions and the distribution of those productions. In the fall, you worked with us here at the TrojanVision to be able to tape some of those performances to get out to the public. And so you're still finding ways to get it, even though they can't come into a theater and pack out an audience.
Right.
You're still getting that, so not performing to no one.
Right. We've missed our live audiences because it's just not the same, but it's been wonderful to work with TrojanVision and with some of our budding student videographers and people who are interested in film or theater for the screen or dance for the screen. We've had just been so blessed with people who want to do that. And obviously, you're very familiar with that. This is what you guys do here. But it's been great to be able to stay connected with our audiences and to get feedback from them. We have done mostly recorded and edited, even just lightly edited, to then distribute on social media and things like that.
And that's going to change for this next performance.
Yes.
This is going to be the first one, the one that's coming up, Art in Motion. We'll talk a little bit about performance, but this is one that you're actually going to stream, and people can see this live while it's happening.
Yes, absolutely. We are going to stream it in two different ways. One way is through what we call Big Troy. So Troy University is going to graciously stream this performance, celebrating and uplifting our students and our wonderful performing arts programs at the university. So that's going to happen on one night of the 4-night run, and on the other 3 performances, our department is going to stream it. All of this through social media, so very accessible. You can like leave comments and things like that and see who else might be watching along. So it's the next best thing to being live in the house. We will have limited audiences. The only one that's really restricted right now to our people is opening night. We're really trying to leave that open for our students who study this in the department, and we're limited to 50 people in a 300-seat auditorium with lots of sanitation and protocol and things like that. So we will have some live audiences to get the real electricity of that stage audience connection, but we're really excited to try the live stream thing and bring everybody to us.
We'll talk about the show itself, Art in Motion. Now, this historically has been a very dynamic, interesting show. It's a dance show, but it incorporates other elements of different art forms. I know photography and painting has been in the past, so what are you looking at this year?
This year, our integration is with the art form of theater, which a lot of people sort of conflate those because we're the Department of Theater and Dance and we work so closely together, you kind of miss the separation, which is great. But what we're trying to do this time is, you mentioned before, we're celebrating 50 years of Troy Theater. And not that theater has not been around for longer than 50 years, but the way that we study theater now, the way that we practice it here at Troy University, the reputation that we've grown and the consistency that we've enjoyed for 50 years. It began in 1970 with Dr. David Dye and the way he sort of changed the game, and we've held steady to that, and I hope that we're doing a good job. So, in honor of the 50th anniversary of that approach to theater, the dance show Art in Motion is an integration of theater, which is why the title of the show is Art in Motion, All the World's a Stage, which is obviously a Shakespeare quote. But we're very excited to see the two halves of our department working very closely together.
And of course, one of the things about this show also, it's student.
Oh, yes.
This is a student choreographed show. It's an opportunity for students to show off their skills on the other side of the stage.
Yes.
From the directing side of it.
Absolutely. It's a big part of our program that students get the opportunity to choreograph and create, not just be vessels for someone else's creation. So it's very exciting. And they have come up with, there are 11 pieces, and I think it's in 2 or 3 movements depending on some COVID-related things. You know, how do we need to do that? But they've got some really interesting approaches. Oh, and the pieces that they're doing are all based on plays or musicals that have been performed at Troy over the last 50 years. So it's kind of exciting. You'll see some Evita, you'll see some Chicago, you'll see some A Lesson Before Dying, Man in the Moon Marigolds. I mean, there's some real throwback titles that are in here. So it's going to be exciting.
So when can they see it before we run out of time? But when is this going to happen?
It's going to happen next weekend, February 25th through 28th. And the Big Troy live stream is on Thursday night, the 25th, 7 p.m. On Troy's, I think, Facebook page. Right. And then the other nights, 7 p.m. on Friday and Saturday, the 26th and 27th, and a matinee on Sunday at 2:30, streamed Facebook Live.
All right. Well, good luck with the performance and getting some folks to see the live production. Troy,
yes.
Thanks for joining us here today.
Thank you, Aaron.
Thank you for joining us on today's edition of Trojan Talk. And that's the week that was. To find out what's happening on a daily basis, you can tune into Troy Trojan Vision News at 5, 6:30, and 10:30 Monday through Friday, or visit us anytime on the new Troy Trojan Vision blog at today.troy.edu/TrojanVision to see online content from Troy Trojan Vision News anytime. And until next week, we hope you have a good week.